Alright, well, welcome back to another video. This is going to be my OP13 set leader predictions for where they're going to fall in the meta. But first, I just want to say that I wanted to wait until after Bandai released the bans for, the next set and everything. But they kind of pulled one over on all of us and decided not to release it until the 20th. So instead of recording this after the bans were released, I'm going to do this before. I don't predict any of the bans affecting where these leaders are going to fall in terms of how strong they're going to be and what tier, at least I'm going to place them in. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this, but it would have been nice to record after. It's been a week since Bandai revealed the 6th leader for set 13, so I think it's a good time to assess where these leaders will fall in the meta, and particularly just the OP13 leaders. Now we're doing this before the bans. I wanted to do them after, but because of what happened at the event, I think we should just go ahead and do this now, but I don't think the bans will affect these leaders and where they will fall too much. In my opinion, whatever gets banned would probably actually help these leaders perform even better. I believe every leader in this set is going to be viable at pretty much all levels of play, whether you're trying to go and perform at a big event to qualify for another event or even Worlds, or if you're just trying to play at locals. There are a couple that are, better than the rest, but I still think you're going to have a fun time with any leader that you choose to play in set 13. Out of all the leaders coming in OP13, I think Bonnie has the most fair ability of them all. A mono yellow 5k leader, 5 life. She comes out with support like the 9 cost Bonnie and 7 cost Stussy, but will likely need more support in the following structure decks or even OP14. Bonnie will have some great potential, but right now I think she's the most underwhelming leader coming out in set 13. Bonnie feels kind of like blue-white Nami or blue-yellow Nami from set 11, where she was about 75% complete, but there was more support in the following set in 12, and she got a lot better. If the other leaders in OP13 were at the same level or worse than Bonnie, I would be talking about her later in the video. But the rest are just as good, if not better. For reasons, I'm going to have to put Bonnie at a high B tier, with some massive potential to be A tier within the next set or two. The next leader I want to talk about is Sabo. Red-black, conditional 5k power and 5 life leader. We may have finally gotten the Sabo leader we've dreamed of. Despite not receiving a lot of support in this set itself, we have a ton of great options that pair phenomenally well from OP12 and before with this leader's ability. I think there's going to be 2 to 3 different ways you could pilot this leader with success, but he's not going to be as easy as the top 2 leaders from this set. Sabo's top end and late game are going to be where we will see this leader shine, but I predict getting there while maintaining card advantage and at least 2 life is going to be the key. I think Sabo has the ability to run the gambit at locals, but at higher tournaments we could see him falling short of the top cut, or going out shortly after. I'm going to place Sabo firmly at the top of B tier, but the right pilot can make this an A tier deck on any given day. Next up is Luffy, a red-green 5k power 4 life leader. It seems that most would write this leader off, or at least below my placement. We've seen a ton of support for this leader on the way, and we already have a lot of existing support for the archetypes that this Luffy has. Even with the support, I think this leader is going to be difficult to pilot. The struggle will be the early game, but most definitely will get easier as the game goes on. Early board control is going to be the key to this deck, while late game you can snowball your bigger characters. While it seems split in a 50-50, the best support this leader has is the new 10 cost Shanks. I'm of the opinion that if you can drop 2 of them back to back, you'll be able to close the game within the turn following, or at least the second turn following, with Shanks. Despite the initial reactions, or lack thereof, I think this Luffy is going to be fairly strong coming out of the gate and could be the leader you don't see coming at events to knock you out. A force to be reckoned with at your locals or bigger tournaments. I believe this leader will be a solid mid to lower A tier force of nature. Also, potentially my most controversial placement for this set. Getting into the top 3 from OP13, I'll talk about Ace next. A red-blue 6k power, 3 life leader, Ace already has a ton of existing support and strong leader abilities. Able to trash a card for a 2k counter once a turn, while also being able to replace that card when its 6k power or more character is KO'd, Ace can win or card advantage alone at times. The ability to swing 6k original power and heavily incentivize to always swing 7 is going to exert a lot of pressure on your opponent. The existing cast of characters that Ace will have access to will also make the general build for him quite formidable for most opponents. The early game for Ace likely will focus around getting the card draw from taking life or having a blocker KO'd, but late game is where we're going to see this leader exponentially take off. Access to both 7 cost and 9 cost new gates, and the 10 cost if you're feeling frisky, are going to make finishing the game against Ace that much harder. Not to mention the cornerstone for this leader, Flame Emperor. The combination of the Whitebeard Pirates archetype and Flame Emperor will make Ace an opponent you must beat in the early game, or else you likely won't get the chance to end it before they do. Ace is going to firmly be at the top of A tier in set 13 and really only has the potential to move higher. The final 2 leaders of set 13 are arguably some of the strongest leaders we have ever seen in One Piece TCG. Ranking one above the other is, in my opinion, objectively up to the individual. Both will see a lot of play, and both will likely have an even win rate into each other. But for me, there's one that falls short of being the best leader in OP13. So let's talk about Emu. A mono black 5k power, 4 life leader, and it's releasing with some crazy support. If you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, then this might just be your favorite deck. Or if you're just getting into One Piece, this might just be the deck for you. If you ever wondered what summoning Exodia would look like in One Piece TCG, then look no further. Emu's never before seen mechanic to play a stage before the game even begins, the insane card draw, the 0 to 100 board presence. Emu has it all, pretty much. The only thing they don't have is a way to survive a beatdown in the first few turns. Now this isn't the nail in the coffin for Emu, but it's not necessarily easy either. Emu will likely struggle against aggro decks, but if they're able to stabilize the mid game, then it's basically a lock. The end game interaction for Emu is going to be hard for your opponent to get around, especially if they're playing an aggro deck, and will likely force an all-in from them more times than going for the long game, which Emu seems to be much better at. Possibly Emu's biggest downfall will be the mirror, and keeping the new 7 cost stage on board. It won't be fun, pretty, or easy, and that's likely going to be the biggest reason this leader doesn't have the top spot for set 13. But it's close. I'm very confident in putting Emu firmly in S tier. If we don't see Emu topping events, it's not because they're bad. It's because people will be playing other decks to counter them, or just not want to face the mirror. At the arguable number 1 spot for OP13, we have the King of the Pirates himself, Gold D. Roger. A red-purple, conditional, 7k power, 5 life leader, Roger is no doubt one of the biggest game-changing leaders that we've seen to date. The support we've seen from him is nothing other than borderline nepotism from Bandai, and thank God it's basically all leader locked. Having 5 life and being a monocolor leader has historically meant you can't attack or you have a negative power condition. And while Roger does have the latter, it basically doesn't matter due to his mandatory Dawn attachment. With options to ramp on every turn, Roger will likely become a 7k leader very, very fast, and only go down to 3 life. At 10 Dawn, we see potentially the best steamroller Bandai has ever produced for this game, with the potential to just keep going. While Roger will clearly have some harder matchups, the late game stabilization is going to be even tougher for your opponent to get through. Roger, much like Emu, won't have too much room for variation in the deck list purely because of how the leader's abilities work, meaning, like Emu, the mirror is going to be tough. But I think it will be easier to prepare for and easier to play than Emu's mirror, meaning Roger will be the leader I expect to be topping most, if not all of the events on release. Firmly at the top, Pirate King is easily S, if not S plus tier. I'm very much looking forward to set 13, and if I had the money I would build every single leader from this set because I think this is potentially the best release we've seen from Bandai yet. These were my predictions for where the OP13 leaders will fall in the meta. We actually won't know until we see them out there in a little under a week in the wild. I'm not the authority on the meta either, but these are just my honest opinions from what I've seen and heard so far about these leaders and their support. I'd love to know what you all think, and if anyone agrees or disagrees with me, I'm always open to being wrong, because I'm not perfect. I wish you all luck on your games and that your last life is a trigger or counter that you need to win.